The United States is executing a major strategy of reindustrialization, aiming to bring factories back home. This policy attracts corporations with financial incentives, expedited approvals, and government backing. In contrast, Canada's bureaucracy is hampering business, with slow approvals and paperwork delays. High taxes lead companies to grow frustrated, close their doors, and leave the country. General Motors shuttered its Ingersoll, Ontario plant, once a cornerstone of Canadian industry. The company's public reason was demand has fallen, but the actual reasons are more complex. Canada is pursuing a precarious economic strategy centered on clean energy and electric vehicles. The government heralded this as a new era, but the result has been the opposite. Plants designated for electric vehicle production began to close, one after another. The Kami plant, once a symbol of industrial prowess, has become a symbol of administrative failure. It now serves as a case study in how bureaucracy can stifle innovation. The government offered no emergency plan or financial assistance for affected communities. This is causing Canada's economy to lose confidence and driving away foreign investment. Corporations now perceive Canada as an unstable and unprofitable place to do business. Ontario alone has lost thousands of industrial jobs, with output declining by roughly 7%. This is a severe blow for a manufacturing-dependent economy. When a major factory shuts down, it sets off a chain reaction. Local businesses lose contracts, and families face financial ruin. A factory accounting for 12% of a city's tax revenue closing means the municipal budget collapses. Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of Canada, inspires the government's current strategy. This strategy involves centralized control and pushing investment toward clean energy. This approach created a bureaucratic bottleneck, decelerating decisions and leading to factory closures. Instead of guiding Canada into the clean energy age, this policy has led to industrial stagnation. The workers are the primary victims, those who commuted through snow to their jobs. Now, there is no work or income, yet bills for rent, food, and heating accumulate. This is worsened by a 4.8% inflation rate, eroding what little savings remain. The government refers to this as a just transition, but the reality is that it's an agonizing one. This is all a result of failed industrial planning and a complete lack of flexibility. Canada aims to be part of the future, but in doing so, it is abandoning the very foundation of its economy, its factories, and its workers. Ironically, the U.S. is now successfully implementing the exact strategy Canada once dreamed of, but doing it faster and more effectively. The individuals paying the price are ordinary people who believed their jobs were secure and their futures were stable, right until the moment they lost everything. This forces us to ask critical questions. What are the real reasons for GM's Ingersoll closure? How have American reindustrialization policies impacted the future of Canadian manufacturing? And is bureaucracy truly the main reason investors are fleeing, or is there a deeper issue? If you are new to our channel, welcome. We focus on global crises, national economies, and financial market analysis. Subscribe, and let's begin. When an industry giant like GM or Stellantis closes, it's not just a job loss for workers, it's the collapse of an entire economic ecosystem. A factory of that scale is the heartbeat of a city's economy. When it stops, everything connected to it, suppliers, services, even the community's identity, breaks down. Small cities that were once proud of their industrial foundations, like Ingersoll, Oshawa, and Windsor, now face a terrifying question. Are we next? The government insists this is merely a market correction, not a failure of management. But the data suggests otherwise. In the last 3 years, Canada's auto sector has shed over 45,000 jobs. With the Ingersoll closure, that figure could surpass 50,000 by the end of the year. These are not basic jobs. They are skilled workers, engineers, and logistics experts, people who cannot be easily replaced. Every job lost signifies lost tax revenue, reduced spending, and increased strain on social programs. Meanwhile, the U.S. is taking the exact opposite action. It is flooding its factories with subsidies and incentives, protecting its domestic market to keep companies from leaving. Canada, conversely, is drowning in red tape. In 2023, for instance, America announced a $370 billion stimulus plan for EV manufacturing. Canada's response: it's still being debated in Parliament. Canada had previously given companies like GM and Stellantis tax exemptions on one condition: they must keep production in Canada. But when those corporations moved south, the government did nothing. No penalties were enforced. No contracts were reviewed. It was essentially a free pass to leave. People are witnessing this, and they are demanding to know, where is the government? Where is Carney, the man who once championed building a resilient economy? He is now discussing the future while people are struggling to survive the present. What is most frustrating is that this entire crisis was avoidable if the government had acted swiftly by providing emergency aid, tax cuts, or immediate local funding. It could have saved factories and jobs. Instead, it became paralyzed by endless bureaucracy until the factories closed, the opportunities were lost, and the workers were abandoned. The bottom line is that Canada's industrial economy is facing its most severe decline in years. America is winning this fight, and Canada is quietly losing. The ordinary worker is the one paying the price every day. Economists are now raising the alarm. This is not just a factory crisis. It could be the beginning of a larger economic collapse. Manufacturing was the heart of the market, and when the heart weakens, the rest of the body follows. Supply chains, contractors, logistics, and real estate are all being affected. Property sales are declining, public anxiety is high, banks are restricting home loans, and consumption is dropping. It is a true economic spiral. All the while, the government continues to spend money on reports and committees that produce nothing but more paperwork. The green transition and retraining programs that were promised are still just words, with no tangible action on the ground. People are fed up with hearing, "Be patient." There is a growing feeling that the government is all talk and no action. To make things worse, vehicle prices are increasing. When Canada raises tariffs or loses suppliers, costs rise. The Canadian Automobile Dealers Association has been clear: every tariff increase translates to higher prices for consumers. So, at the same time citizens are losing their jobs, they are being hit with higher prices. Trade relations with the U.S. have grown tense. Canada is warning the Trump administration of retaliation if talks do not progress. But thus far, it has been all talk and no action. Ontario's premier is threatening companies, declaring, "If you cut jobs, we won't stay silent." But major corporations are not afraid of statements. They respond to policies and incentives, which are currently missing. The federal government claims it is taking action, but it is painfully slow. America can finalize a deal in weeks. Canada requires months for a single decision. This is where Mark Carney's failure is most apparent. He promised to lead Canada into a new clean energy era, but instead, he is watching its factories die, one by one. Rather than giving the private sector freedom, flexibility, and investment, he buried it in committees and red tape. Investors have lost trust, workers are relocating to America, and supply chains are collapsing. Let's examine the figures. Since 2022, Canada's auto sector has lost over 50,000 jobs. If you include suppliers, drivers, and local services, that number could be as high as 100,000. Each job lost means less tax revenue, lower spending, and more social strain. Meanwhile, the U.S. is winning, not by luck, but through a clear, well-executed strategy: massive incentives, low taxes, and rapid implementation. Canada, in contrast, is stuck in routine and indecision, pushing companies to move south even as it damages its own communities. Carney is still holding on to his big slogans: green transition, sustainable economy, climate finance. But these slogans don't feed people today. Citizens need jobs now, not in the year 2050. Factories need tax breaks, direct funding, and immediate action. Instead, the government is moving in the opposite direction. Its latest decision, to reduce GM's duty exemption by 24%, backfired completely. Without a coherent industrial plan, that move only worsened the situation, encouraging more companies to leave. The closure of GM's Ingersoll plant is not just a business decision, it's an alarm bell. Canada has lost its industrial direction. There is no clear vision and no leadership, only empty talk instead of real solutions. If Canada does not act quickly with a strong recovery plan, it will lose more than just jobs. it will lose investor confidence and its international credibility. What Canada needs now is practical leadership, real policies, and immediate action, not slogans and speeches. Because if this continues, Canadian industry will transform from a source of national pride into a fading memory on paper. I have reached the end of today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in a new episode.